back to the Morning Brew. I'm Larry Aarons. Guest hosting with me this week is my good friend Greg Mays, who is the managing editor of SimpleCocktails.com.
That's right.
Go check it out. And I'm going to a Halloween party this Friday, and we're going to make your recipe.
Good.
Black martini.
We're making it in a couple of days.
Yes.
Here.
Oh, are we?
Yeah.
Cool.
Sneak preview.
I'm looking forward to that. Okay, good. This segment of our show is brought to you by our friends at ABQ Free Press. ABQ Free Press and Albuquerque Arts and Entertainment recently merged, so you get great investigative reporting with ABQ Free Press, along with incredible arts and entertainment coverage. And we want to thank ABQ Free Press for supporting this segment on the Morning Brew. All right, there's a ballot initiative. Is that the proper term, ladies?
I think we're calling it a ballot question because it's no
I've
longer
heard
a
it
ballot
said.
initiative.
Yeah, I couldn't come up with the word. Voters are being asked their opinion, which is kind of interesting, on the whole marijuana decriminalization issue. And with us today is Marsha Garcia, who is Communications Director for Progress Now New Mexico, and Jessica Holly. And Jessica, who are you with now, please?
I'm with Drug Policy Alliance.
Okay, good. Welcome, both of you.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
So what is the question that voters are going to be answering?
So voters are going to be asked if they think that their counties should support on a local and statewide level the decriminalization of 1 ounce or less of marijuana. And this is really an important question because we can look back at 2011 and see what happens with red light cameras here in the city of Albuquerque. And that too was an advisory question, and it asked the voters whether or not they wanted to get rid of red light cameras. After voters voted to get rid of the red light cameras, a few months later, our city council and the mayor passed an ordinance to get rid of the red light cameras. And so this is democracy in action. This is truly direct democracy. And so now this question is in the hands of the voters, and then we can then look to our local, county, and statewide elected officials for them to go ahead and pass this type of law that the voters hopefully will vote to pass. And so at this point, you know, like we said, this is in the hands of the voters, it's in the hands of our community. We really feel that New Mexico is ready to move forward with this.
Very good. How do the voters, what will they be asked? Where will they be asked this? How does that work?
So there's advisory questions on ballots in Bernalillo County and in Santa Fe County. So both voters in all the county voters in both counties will have the option of voting to decriminalize marijuana for penalties for 1 ounce or less.
And when they vote on that, are they actually making that decision for the city, or what happens next?
So it's exactly like how it happens with the red light cameras. So that this is this is a question that is asking voters what type of laws do you want to see passed, just like with the red light cameras. So when the voters voted in favor of that, it didn't change the law automatically. What then happened was our city council put forth the legislation, and then the mayor okayed it, and it became an ordinance. And so what we're looking at now is that our local state elected officials will go ahead and bring up this type of legislation in the upcoming legislative session. And we've seen that, you know, this type of legislation really goes far. Now, what we're talking about in both counties is just 1 ounce or less. In 2013, in the House of Representatives, Representative Emily Kane actually introduced something that was went a little bit further. It was 4 ounces or less, and that passed the House of Representatives with the bipartisan vote. Unfortunately, it was towards the end of the session that year, and it didn't have enough time to get through the Senate. So we think that something like this that would be 1 ounce or less really shouldn't have too much problem getting through the House and the Senate. And so we're hoping that that's the type of legislation that we'll see once our elected leaders can see this is really what, you know, the third or half of our population really want us to do.
I'm curious how it got on the ballot is one question. The second question is, couldn't we have just done an opinion poll on this? Would that have been as effective?
No, not at all. I mean, if we would have done an opinion poll, say the Journal would have done a poll on red light cameras, I don't think that would have given enough of a backing for our council to go ahead and introduce an ordinance on that. So this is truly asking our public what they want their leaders to do. we think about that we're coming up to an election and just, we're 1 week away. So
Yeah.
we're electing the
N-
people
how-
that create the laws that we
How
want
did
them
it
to
get on the
make.
ballot? Was it an initiative, a petition?
It started as a ballot initiative in both of our cities, here in the city of Albuquerque and in the city of Santa Fe. And so in the city of Santa Fe, the council and the mayor, everybody saw how much support there was to it, and they went and just enacted it. And so then the county, they wanted to extend this type of a law to the county and give everybody in Santa Fe County a chance to vote on it and to weigh their opinion as well. And here in the city of Albuquerque, we there was quite the controversy with our ballot initiative here because of the numbers changing just after everything was already turned in. And so again, our county commission took it up as well, so that this could be extended to the full county and everybody could weigh in, because a lot of the signatures that were turned in Albuquerque were in fact Bernalillo County voters. We did turn in enough to get through the original threshold, but a lot of those folks were county voters. So we're going to see what everybody thinks. Election day is a week away.
So what happens if you get a split decision on this?
What
happens if Santa Fe passes it and Bernalillo County doesn't? Is that a mixed message to
I don't think so. I think that what it would be is just, maybe some more folks turned out in one area than other folks didn't.
Yeah.
I think it would be the same as looking at statewide races and them taking Bernalillo County and not taking Santa Fe County.
You had, we saw the picture earlier of I think it was students. There was some, trying to raise some interest in students. There's our photo there. What does that look like for you guys? What are you doing kind of out in the community? How are you trying to encourage people to vote?
So in Santa Fe County, there's been a lot of work at the Santa Fe Community College and just in general at lots of community events, farmers markets, the folk art festival, the beginning of it. There's just a lot of conversations happening. Actually, in the combined campaign, we've had over 200,000 conversations about marijuana decriminalization. And this is really helping move the issue forward. This is a racial justice issue, this is a safety issue, and it's an issue of our resources going where they are most needed. And really, we can see there was a poll in 2013 that showed that 57% of New Mexicans statewide are in favor of reducing penalties for marijuana. So it's a way to have these conversations, have people be able to ask questions, encourage young people to start thinking about how they can participate in their democracy, how they can be agents of change. And this is what we're really working for.
So once all the smoke clears here and the issue is decided at this election, what legislative entity is going to handle it next? Is it the city, the county, the state? Who's going to deal with it, in your opinion?
Sure. Well, I think that it could be, as it is right now, it could be at a variety of levels. There's certainly municipal things that will happen. This will signal to our county commissioners directly that we're interested, so hopefully they'll take it up right away. However, we also think that there'll probably be something introduced in this upcoming legislative session, so that it could be a statewide initiative and really bring it full circle, so that we have one law across the board for the state.
What are you talking about overall? I heard you mention kind of reduced penalties. I mean, how would we phrase this to those who are watching it? Are we talking about legalization? Are we talking about reduction of penalties? What is this exactly?
This is a penalty reduction campaign. This is decriminalization. So this is talking about possession of marijuana. It's not talking about sales or anything beyond that. But this is strictly having an ounce or less, and an ounce is just a handful of marijuana, that you having that and taking away the criminal penalty from that and using it where there's more problems, violent crimes, property crimes, things that our cities are facing and that we're dealing with on a daily basis that we don't have enough support right now from our police. We really want them to be using the money that they're spending. There's over $5 million spent a year in New Mexico on just on arrests alone.
And if I could echo what Jessica is saying, this is really a modest question about 1 ounce or less. The reason that we went with 1 ounce or less originally was because that is the way that the city ordinance is written already. It talks about 1 ounce or less, and that's where the penalties, that's how they create the penalties off of 1 ounce or less. And going back to 2013 and what happened at that legislative session, they were talking about 4 ounces or less. It's a big difference. And so, here in the city of Albuquerque, for the very first fine of possession of 1 ounce or less of marijuana, the first fine is up to $150 or up to 15 days in jail. And then you look at the second fine, the second offense, then it jumps up to $500 or up to 90 days in jail. And that's a really big deal. That's 3 months in jail. That gets you into the criminal system. And so we just don't think that we should be wasting precious resources. We already have a lot of issues with overcrowding at the Metropolitan Detention Center. And, we just don't think that these are the reasons why we should be filling up that jail.
Real briefly, we have less than a minute. What are your internal polls showing on this? You guys obviously have looked at this internally.
So everything looks good. I don't have any exact polling to talk about,
But you're feeling positive.
But we feel really positive. We're feeling really confident. Some of the photos that were shown earlier, those are from our organizers in our campaign at the University of New Mexico registering students. And we've had people say, working on on voter engagement for so long, say, we've never had these many lines waiting for people to register to vote. So it's really exciting to see people really excited about this and wanting to participate in our democracy.
Very good. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, interesting discussion. Jessica Halai with the Drug Policy Alliance and Marsha Garcia with Progress Now, New Mexico. All here on the Morning Brew. We'll be back in a moment. More to come, including some cocktail news from the cocktail guy here. We'll be back.